name is Saraswati Gupta. I'm in first standard. My school name is Kanenagar MPS and my teacher name is Ritumbra Toge and my principal name is Mrs. Sapna Yadav. I am going to talk about effect of climate change. My topic is dog. Please reduce pollution. Please save dog. Because animals breed can cow. Destruction of the cells, resulting in anemia, uncontrollable bleeding, lethargy organ, pelvic death. Treatment can be difficult. There is no vaccine. Please save dog. Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arush. Prameet and Pramesh, one of you can talk about your presentation. Prameet or Pramesh, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Pramit Singh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Pramit Singh. I study in 5th standard, and my school's name is MPS Kanenagar School. Now, I will tell you about what is global warming. See, glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, cloud forests are dying, and wildlife is scrambling to keep pace. It has become clear that humans have caused most of the past century warming by releasing heat-trapping gases have caused as we power our modern lives, called greenhouse gases. Their levels are higher now than at any time in the last 800,000 years. We often call the results global warming, but it is causing a set of changes to the Earth's climate or long-term weather patterns that vary from place to place. While many people think of global warming and climate change as synonyms, scientists use climate change when describing the complex shifts now affecting our planet's weather and climate system, in part because some areas actually get cooler in the short term. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prameet and Pramesh. And the last candidate from our end is Parth. I think Parth is ready with the presentation. Parth, you have 1 minute to present your work. Can you hear me, Parth?
Yeah.
Yes, Parth, over to you.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you. I am India. My name is Tat Anandulov. My school name is MPS Kanenagar. I am a third standard. My topic is of climate change or honeybee. Honeybee is no symptom in our life. Only things that is to enter. She is unlucky. Honeybee provide us honey, dash, so many days together and food. Today, she is in danger zone. He got our head. No honeybee, no earth, no life. Shell honeybee, shell earth, shell life. I love honeybee, I shall honeybee, and not around you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Parth. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Parth. Yes, children, you have really done a good job. So kudos to everyone. And now what we are going to do is we are going to listen to other children, all other children who are waiting curiously from Malaysia. So everyone will listen carefully to them and note down some important points. After that, we will have some question and answers. Okay. So everyone ready for listening now? Just show
Yes,
me
ma'am.
thumbs up. Just thumbs up. Okay. Now listen carefully. Over to you, Cherry, and your students.
Okay, thanks, Swapna. Okay, my first student will be introducing about our country, all right, Malaysia. Her name is Natanya, and then we'll move on to um, Na, who's Bernice, Shakira, and Kevin for definition of climate change, all right. I've already allowed share screen. Natanya, you can share screen now. Natanya?
Good morning, everyone, teachers and friends. My name is Natanya and I am from Form 2 Delta and my school name is Sri Bestari Private School. Today I'll be talking about Malaysia. There are many wait, I cannot share screen. I cannot switch the slides.
Your slide? What happened? Oh, all right.
There are many races, foods, and no. Can you wait a second?
Sure. We have Indian food as well, but I'm very sure you are very familiar with Indian food. So they are showing you the other food from other races.
Yeah, actually, I'm familiar with nasi pardon.
Nasi Padang, that will be from Kelantan.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Let her continue. I just love the slides.
As I was saying, there are many races, foods, and attraction spots. The three main races in Malaysia are the Malays, Chinese, and Indians. There are also other indigenous groups residing in East Malaysia, such as Karazans, Ivans, and many more. The Malays are an ethnic group of Austronesian people who populate peninsular Malaysia, parts of Thailand, Myanmar, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, and the island of Borneo. Example of traditional dishes in Malaysia. Nasi lemak. Nasi lemak is a dish originated in Malay cuisine that consists of fragrant rice cooked in coconut milk and pandan leaf. Satay. Satay is a Southeast Asian dish of seasoned skewer and grilled meat served with a peanut sauce. Lontong. Lontong is a Malaysian food that is made of compressed rice wrapped inside banana leaf that is then cut into small cakes as staple food replacement of steamed rice. Where is Kuala Lumpur and Selangor located? Located in the center of Selangor State, Kuala Lumpur is a federal territory of Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur is the capital city of Malaysia. It is the largest city in Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur is one of 3 federal territories of Malaysia that is within the state of Selangor, on the central west coast of Peninsular Malaysia. Our tourist attractions. Batu Caves, Selangor. The colorful staircase can make it all the way up to 272 steps. It is located less than an hour outside Kuala Lumpur. It contains statues and a 100-year-old shrine dedicated to Hindu gods. Malacca, center of Jonker Street, Chinatown, main thoroughfare, has antique shops and night market nearby Chinatown. KLCC. located in Kuala Lumpur, known for having luxury hotels, expensive views, and fashion malls from the Twin Towers. Genting Skyway. Genting Skyway is one of the 2 cable car systems serving Genting Highlands, traveling between Gotong Jaya and the peak of the Highlands. Our scientific accomplishments. Dr. Serena Nick Zainal has received Nobel Prize for Cancer Research. Dr. Verisim Kim Lee, the US-based scientist, helped develop the PFSPZ vaccine that protects people from malaria. Dr. Adiba's introduction of evidence-based harm reduction program to prevent HIV transmission among people who use drugs. Associate Professor Lim Lee Wei, the Malaysian-born scientist from Samye University, discovered that deep brain stimulation can help reduce the symptoms of dementia. Our sport accomplishments. Lee Chong Wei. In badminton sport, Lee Chong Wei sits on the throne. Not only is Wei a 3-time Olympic silver medalist, he is also the first badminton player to have kept the #1 world ranking for 3 years. And Delela Winongpang. She is the nation's diving queen with 2 Olympic medals, 1 bronze and 1 silver, 4 World Championship medals, and 1 gold medal from the 2010 Commonwealth Games. Nicole David. She is an 8-time world champion, a 9-time Asian squash champion, a 6-time WISPA Player of the Year, the youngest player to win a World Junior Championship, and the first Asian woman to win the title of the world #1. To add to that, she held onto that title for a record-breaking 108 months. Azizul Hasmi Awang, the most celebrated track cyclist in Malaysia with 8 gold Asian Championship medals and 5 World Championship medals, known as Pocket Rocketman. We hope we can visit Malaysia one day. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so that's introduction to Malaysia.
That was really good, Cherry. And yes, we hope to visit Malaysia someday.
Just
Thank you
coming to
so
KL, there are a lot of touristic spots nearby KL. You can see a lot of things. All right, so now we move on to my first group. Kevin, you can share screen.
Apologies for this weird silence. I have no idea what's going on.
You have to change it to
Climate change.
presentation mode. Yeah.
I don't know why changing there. Climate change. There's many things that can cause climate change. And now my mouse isn't working. Oh, what a nice day. What's the difference between climate change and weather? A lot of things, obviously, and who drew that? I'm not.
Can you clear this thing? Please clear this line. Can you clear this line?
I don't know how. What is climate change? Climate change is the average weather in a place over many years. While the weather can change in just a few hours, climate takes hundreds, thousands, even millions of years. Sorry for the cutoff, I can't see it. What is the weather? Weather is the temperature, cloudiness, humidity, and whether a storm is likely to in the next few days. It is the mix of events that happens each day in our atmosphere. Weather is not the same everywhere. It may be hot in another
region?
How do I turn off this? It may be hot.
So the difference between weather and climate.
I can't read the bottom. It just says end.
Kevin, stop, please. All right, move on to the next slide.
It may be hot and examples of climate change are rising sea levels, shrinking mountain glaciers, ice melting at a faster rate than usual in Greenland, Antarctica, and the Arctic, changes in flower and plant blooming times, and deforestation. India the past several decades as a result of melting glaciers, as you can see on this graph. And this crude diagram, but it works.
Yeah, that's better.
As you can see, it really peaked in 2000s. Glaciers has gradually melted due to temperature. Ow!
Kevin, are you there?
Due to rising temperatures, basically, just basically because it got hot. One of the main, yes, I am. Yep, I am here. One of the main human activities that cause climate change is deforestation. Basically, what is deforestation? Deforestation refers to deforest areas across the world that are lost for other uses, such as agricultural cropland, urbanization, or activity. As you can see by this photographic example of deforestation in like chopping trees down, basically. Why is this deforestation happening? In point one, increase in human population. We need pardon the barking dog. I don't handle that. As mining activities and urbanization make up the remaining causes of deforestation. Deforestation effects and contribution to climate change are one of the main points is trees are one of the main living organisms that convert carbon dioxide into oxygen in our atmosphere. By cutting down trees, the amount of carbon dioxide will increase in our atmosphere due to not enough trees producing oxygen. As a result, this will contribute facts. While food and agriculture accounts for 24% of greenhouse gas emissions, deforestation is estimated to be responsible for 10 to 15% of all emissions. How can we stop deforestation? Number one, eating less meat consciously helps deforestation. Number three, leaving fossil fuels and palm oil behind. For lead by example and spread awareness. Yeah, okay, that's it.
All right. So now we'll move on to, I have another two presenters. Okay. My third presenter will be on effects of climate change, and the last one is for solution. Okay. So next one is Devina. You can share screen now, Devina.
Yes, Ms. Chair. A very good morning to all students and teachers here. This is our presentation on climate change. These are my group members who helped do this presentation. This is me, Devina, and my lovely group members, Divyashini, Zerning, and Yushin. So what will we be presenting today? Here's the table of contents. What is climate change? The causes of climate change, effects of climate change, and the 2021 environmental issues. So here's a short definition on what is climate change. A long-time shift in global or regional climate patterns. Often climate change refers specifically to the rise in global temperatures from the mid-20th century to the present. Climate change is often confused with global warming. Global warming refers to the temperature rising on the surface of Earth only, whereas climate change includes warming and other side effects like melting glaciers, heavier rainstorms, and frequent droughts. Now I'll pass it on to Zani.
Okay, thank you, Davina. So, hi, I'm Julie, which is the third girl in the introduction slide. And today I'll be sharing with you guys the causes of climate change. So the first one is burning fossil fuels. So burning fossil fuels like coal and gas create electricity release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere at the same time. So during combustion or burning, carbon from fossil fuels combine with oxygen in the air to form carbon dioxide and water vapor. Agriculture and farming. Animals or livestock like sheep and cattle produce methane and nitrous oxide, which are greenhouse gases. Many farming practices, such as burning fields, are significant contributors to the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Now, next one is deforestation. So as everyone knows, trees act as a very important role because they absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen to us. So if trees are cut down, the carbon dioxide will increase because there is no main absorber for carbon dioxide. Industry. When we produce goods from raw materials, some chemical reaction will occur and then release greenhouse gases, therefore increasing the temperature of the earth too. And here's another one, which is food waste. So when food is sent to dispose and decompose at the landfill, methane gas will be released. And excess amounts of greenhouse gases absorb infrared radiation and heat up the Earth's atmosphere, causing global warming and climate change. Greenhouse gases and emission and climate change. The greenhouse effect is the main driver of climate change, and some gases, they act like a piece of glass in greenhouse, which means they trap the sun's heat, stopping it leaking back into space to cause climate change. And here's kind of like a little fact, because we always blame carbon dioxide causing climate change, but it actually only shares a volume of 0.04% and the other 95% comes from natural sources like volcanoes or maybe decomposition process in the nature. So how does deforestation contribute to greenhouse gases? A large scale of deforestation releases carbon dioxide because when trees die, they will also release carbon dioxide. And when trees are cut down, burned, or rot, the stored carbon inside the trees will be released out. And destructing living trees reduces amount of transpiration, and it will change the amount of water vapor released into the atmosphere, and the climate will change. Natural causes of climate change. So volcanoes kind of like have a mixed effect on our climate. So large volcanic eruptions send plumes of ash and gas high into the atmosphere. Sulfate aerosols from these plumes scatter light, reflecting some of it back into space. And this scattering warms the stratosphere but cools the troposphere. El Nino Southern Oscillation, which is also called ENSO, is an interaction between the atmosphere and the ocean in the tropical Pacific that results in changing in sea surface temperature. So in the El Nino year, the global temperature warms up, and in the La Nina year, it cools down. Solar irradiance. So before knowing the meaning of solar irradiance, I'm just gonna have a simple introduction about solar radiation. So solar radiation is the radiant energy emitted from the sun. And irradiance, solar irradiance, refers to the amount of solar radiation obtained per unit area by a given surface. The sun's irradiance has its greatest effect on Earth's upper atmosphere, while the lower atmosphere insulates the Earth from the increased heat. Violent coverage cycles. So when Earth travels around the sun, its path might tilt off its axis and can change slightly. So due to different orbital positions, it can affect the amount of sunlight that received by Earth, causing the temperature change. And that's all for me. I will pass the slide to the next presenter.
Yeah, thank you, Zining, and I'll take it from here. So hi, my name is Yushin, and I'll be explaining the effects of climate change. Firstly, we have loss of biodiversity. Because the changing of temperature may not be adaptable to certain species of animals, which unfortunately will cause extinction of species. Now, secondly, we have rising sea levels. And how's that going to happen? Well, when the temperatures increase, it will cause the ice caps on land to melt, resulting in rising of sea levels. And thirdly, we have more frequent heat waves. When the temperature rises, it will cause the heat level to increase. Thus, it will generate more frequent heat waves. And last but not least, food will be more expensive. How so? It will be harder to grow fruits and vegetables as the climate isn't suitable for them. Then we will have less production and also increasing of food price. On the other hand, we will have a higher risk of getting many health problems. We might consume contaminated water since there will be severe flooding and storm. Climate change will result in a warmer or a wetter environment, which suits best for the insect-borne disease to appear, such as dengue fever, West Nile, and Lyme disease. Rising of temperature will also cause heat stress, heat stroke, and cardiovascular disease. You may not know how will climate change result in cardiovascular disease. Let me explain to you about it. When the temperature rises, our blood viscosity, it will increase, which is the thickness and the thickness of our blood. When it increases, blood will be hard to transport, and then we will have heart failure or stroke. And now we have dirty air. As the air gets polluted with the emission from industry, air gets dirtier with soot and smog. It also becomes filled with more allergenic pollutants, resulting in air pollution, which are not good for our health too. Did you know rainforests are only responsible for roughly 30% of the Earth's oxygen, but most of the oxygen, which are 70% in the atmosphere, is produced by marine plants. The ocean produces oxygen through the plants such as phytoplankton, kelp, and algal plankton. These plants produce oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis, which is a process that converts carbon dioxide into sugars that the organism can use for energy with the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. One type of phytoplankton, which is Chlorococcus, releases countless of oxygen into the atmosphere. The reason I introduced plankton to you guys will be explained here. Climate change may affect the plankton too. It is because phytoplankton growth depends on available sunlight, temperature, and nutrient levels. Because cold waters tend to have more nutrient than warm waters. So phytoplankton tend to have more plentiful where waters are cold. As the climate warms, so will the oceans. Since warm waters contain less oxygen and less nutrient, therefore less phytoplankton compared to the cooler areas. Because phytoplankton thrive better in cooler waters, these organisms migrate to cooler patches of ocean when other parts become too warm. Remember that hurricanes will also make the plankton to migrate to other places. This results lessening the food source for fish and other marine life. Along with rising temperatures, harmful algal blooms, which also known as red tides, are expected to increase. Biotoxin released from the blooms can cause large-scale die-offs of fish, with knock-on effects to coastal economies. Thank you for listening to me, and now I'll pass it to Divya.
Thank you, Yushin. Hello, everyone. I am Divyashni Rajeswaran, and I'll be presenting about the 2021 environmental issues. Firstly, we're looking at deforestation. As we saw earlier, deforestation is a cause of climate change, but it's also a major environmental issue we're facing. Trees store carbon to conduct the process of photosynthesis, and once it's chopped down or burned, it releases carbon dioxide into the air. Did you know, according to the World Counts, we're losing 20 football pitches of forest every minute? You might be thinking, why can't we just regrow new trees and make up for the old ones we've lost? The truth is, new forests aren't able to build up such biodiversity without centuries to do so. As an average individual, it is hard to solve this problem. However, you can start by eating less meat because cattle are a large driver of deforestation. Next. Biodiversity loss has ripped into one of our biggest environmental problems, with unprepossessing populations in a hair-trigger state. Abrupt loss of biodiversity from climate change represents a significant threat to human well-being. A large group of people depend directly on the environment for food security and income. And when there is a sudden disruption of local ecosystem, their ability to earn an income and feed themselves will be affected, potentially pushing them into poverty. Now we're looking at food waste. Damage from producing this food is one of the biggest environmental problems on our planet, which we will expand in the agricultural section further down. It's not just the food we're wasting. When we waste food, we also waste the energy and water it takes to grow, harvest, transport, and package it. Here's the fact. The amount of food lost is equivalent to roughly 1.3 billion tons, which is enough to feed 3 billion people. Considering there are 690 million people suffering from malnutrition, it is clear we have more than enough for everyone to eat their fill. To solve this problem, we can start by shopping more efficiently as consumers and avoid letting things sit past their expiration date. As we all know, plastic takes hundreds of years to break down, but dumping it in oceans, we're just making the situation worse because ocean can absorb 40% to 60% of carbon emission released by plastic when exposed to sunlight. Of the 270 million tons of plastic produced each year, a small portion, that is 8 million tons, ends up in the ocean. It then either sinks to the bottom or decomposes into progressively smaller pieces called microplastic at the surface. Microplastics can be harmful animals in the ocean. They block digestive tracts, diminish the urge to eat, and alter feeding behavior, all of which reduce the growth and reproductive output and even lead them to death. That's all from me. Thank you.
Very good. Devina, Yushin, Divya, and last one is who? Zuning. Zuning. Okay.
Thank you, Zening, Yushin, and Divya for the very informative presentation. And thank you everyone for listening. Francis Hollandy once said, "We have a single mission to protect and hand on the planet next generation." That is all from us. Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay, let's move on to my last group. Chloe.
Ma'am, Aisha is remaining. She is a second standard. She is remaining. She's telling about the effect of climate change on animals.
A very good morning to teachers and students. Thank you for being here. Today, my group and I, which is Chloe, Daniel, and me, Mika, will be presenting about solutions for climate change.
One of the major issues in climate change is sourcing for new energy. As you know, you are heavily dependent on energy in continuing our daily life. From our research, we came across Solar Impulse Foundation. This foundation selects, labels, and promote clean and profitable solutions to support political and businesses decision makers to reach their environmental targets. Any solution that is approved by this foundation will be awarded in a Solar Impulse label. It's a win-win for the environment, businesses, and policymakers. Each solution goes through a strict assessment process performed by independent experts. Above are the examples of solutions that were awarded the Solar Impulse label. Let's start with Solaris Kit. Solaris Kit is ideally suited to provide hot water for households. As example, showering, cleaning laundry, and more. This device is used to convert energy from sunlight to heat up water.
Next, we have EV. It is a very special carbon tracker. It enables organizations to track their carbon emission activities.
Carbon capture. It aims to capture carbon dioxide produced in industrial processes and power plants and transport these emissions by pipeline to offshore storage sites several kilometers beneath the North Sea. The aim is to reduce carbon emissions in carbon-intensive industries in the Northeast to zero by as early as 2030. There are plans to convert this excessive carbon dioxide into fuels in the future.
Next is Solar Box. Solar Box is a solar agricultural glass structure designed to deliver sustainable energy for existing structures and protected buildings. Solar Box utilize PV technology in laminated glass to produce power from the sun wheels, respecting visual regulatory requirement for old buildings.
Next, we have Ingenuity Geothermal Power. It is a complete project life cycle for large and small geothermal power plant. The solution focuses on developing geothermal power projects to provide clean and renewable electricity.
Lastly, we have Tokado's tidal energy turbines. It enables consumers to achieve a reliable production of renewable energy by drawing power from tidal patterns. Tokado's tidal turbine solution makes use of the tides and river streams to propel blades and offer consumers local power generation.
Now we'll look at how does electricity affect climate change and why is renewable energy important. Approximately 40% of global carbon dioxide emissions are emitted from electricity generation through the combustion of fossil fuels to generate heat needed to power steam turbines. Burning these fuels results in the production of carbon dioxide, the primary heat-trapping greenhouse gas responsible for global warming.
You can install solar panels and other forms of renewable energy systems in your homes. Other than this, you can simply cut down on the amount of energy you use on a day-to-day basis, such as reducing the aircon and heating.
Next is by changing the way you travel. Carpooling or switching to public methods of transport such as bus, train, or subway, or choosing to cycle or even walk to places is another lifestyle change that benefits the environment. Not only it's eco-friendly, but cycling and walking are good for health too. On the subject of travel, cutting down on long-haul flights and taking more time to explore your local area can drastically shrink your annual carbon footprint.
Furthermore, we for climate stable planet. The decisions we make about food can have a profound effect on the environment. Here are 4 simplest ways you can make your diet more often. 3.
Lastly, we need to eat more plants and less meat. Livestock are a huge source of greenhouse gas emissions, contributing 14.5% to the world's CO2, and 65% of that figure comes from cattle. By cutting out dairy and meat from your diet or simply eating less, you can cut your carbon footprint drastically.
Why is our lifestyle important for climate change, you might ask? The little things a person does on a daily basis have a huge impact on the environment. Something as simple as consuming food and buying clothes could affect the planet as they produce tons of garbage that end up in landfill, which then produce methane, a greenhouse gas that contribute to climate change.
Next, we'll look at reduce food waste. One of the simplest ways to avoid food waste as a consumer is to buy less. A packed fridge may look appealing, but it may lead to food waste if the household cannot eat all of the food. Taking a couple of shorter trips to the grocery store each week rather than one longer trip may prevent people from buying too much food and help cut back on waste.
Instead of throwing food in the trash can, use it for composting. This way, it will become a nutrient-rich fertilizer rather than just rot in a landfill.
Not to forget to freeze extra. Freezing food can help preserve them for later use and prevent them from spoiling. Many fresh fruit and vegetables keep well when frozen, extending their shelf life and reducing waste.
Next, we'll have a look on effect of food waste to climate change. When food ends up in a landfill, it creates methane, a greenhouse gas 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. In fact, if global food waste were measured as country, it would be the world's third worst emitter of greenhouse gases. But this isn't all. When food gets wasted, we're also wasting all of the land, water, energy, and other resources that went into producing it, impacting biodiversity, the variety of life on Earth, and polluting our environment.
Water pollution may also increase the effects of climate change. So here are some ways to prevent water pollution. Firstly, do not pour fat and grease down the drain. Grease, fat, and used cooking oil should be disposed of in the trash or kept in a flat jar for disposal with other solid waste. Your pipes might clog and cause sewer pipes to clog and back up into yards and basements. The waste also contaminates local bodies of water.
Next is dispose of medical waste properly. Never flush medicine down the toilet and never dump them in the nearest pond or creek. The drugs tend to accumulate in the water and in fish and other wildlife. Hormones and other compounds end up causing a variety of health problems in fish and birds contaminate drinking water that people and livestock use.
Lastly, we should also cut down on meat consumption. Raising animals for meat takes a lot of water for the grains and other foods they need, as well as to keep them alive. Furthermore, the antibiotics and solid waste both tend to end up in groundwater and rivers.
You've heard about terrariums and know it's all about growing plants in a transparent container, usually made of glass. But just how does a terrarium work?
I have recently set up a closed terrarium as you can see in the slide. I had succeeded in setting it up and keeping the plant alive for a week. The workings of a closed terrarium are simple. A closed terrarium creates an isolated ecosystem within a sealable, transparent container. Plants within a closed terrarium will have everything they need to thrive. Soil provides nutrients for the plants. These nutrients are constantly recycled as plants grow, taking up nutrients from the soil and then die, returning them to the soil. Water within the terrarium sustains the plant by creating a miniature water cycle. Both the plants and soil in the terrarium release moisture and water vapor. This condenses against the walls of the terrarium and falls back into the soil to be used again. The cycle of moisture rising and falling is much like our own ecosystem. Moisture rising during the day when temperatures are warmer and falling at night when the temperature is cool. The only thing that needs to be added to a terrarium is light for photosynthesis to let the plants grow. Terrariums need indirect light, which provides plenty of light and also warmth for the plants. Terrarium is an example to teach us about the carbon cycle and oxygen cycle. It shows us why reforestation is important to reduce carbon dioxide in the air and how plants can convert carbon dioxide into oxygen.
That's all from us. Thank you for lending me your ears. Actions speak louder than words. I hope all of us can make small changes to save the earth. Once again, thank you.
Okay, so that was a very lengthy one because they presented the whole thing throughout like the last 4 to 5 weeks.
That's brilliant, Cherry. I think this was very much informative for our kids. I know my little champs are quite too young to understand most of the things, but I'm sure this food wastage and couple of things they have understood by the visual image.
Yes.
Moreover, I could take down multiple notes so that I can implement those things. Terrarium is something really very useful thing what your children have done, which could be done by our kids as well. So a couple of takeaways for me from this session. Thank you so much for all those who have presented from Malaysia today. And it was very informative for our children and for us as well. I think, Cherry, as we have discussed, can we move on to question answer session? Like, how do you want us to go?
Do your students have any questions?
Okay, let me ask if they have. My little champs, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can ask any question. If
Yes,
you have
ma'am.
any- Okay, who's this? Prameet?
From
Yeah, Prameet. One question, please.
okay, sir. Okay, ma'am. What is global warming?
Ah.
What is
Okay.
global warming? Which one do you want to ask, Pramit? Choose one.
Yes. Yes, I think they
One
saw
of
a
my
slide
students
where
to answer it.
global
Why
warming is.
glaciers are melting?
Which one?
Anyone from Malaysia can explain what is global warming to my children, please.
Students, anyone wants to answer?
Can I answer?
Sure.
So global warming is like the increasing in the temperature of our Earth. And it's due to some activities that we did, like maybe burning forests, yeah, or burning plastics or something, yeah.
Thank you so much. Prameet, I think you got it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any
And
other student? Huh.
and why glaciers are melting?
Glacier. Melting glaciers. Someone had presented, I think, from your end.
Yes.
Children
When
from
we are
Malaysia.
when we are talking about
Yeah.
when we are talking about melting glaciers, right? We are talking about the ice on land, not in the sea. Because the ice they are already in the sea, they are already taking up that volume. So if it still melt in the sea, it's just like you have a cup of water with ice. All right, the level is that much. Even when the ice is melted, the level will remain that much. However, if you have another ice from somewhere else, like on land, which melted and then flow in there, then the level will increase. So we are talking about the glacier on land that's melting, not the glacier in the sea. Okay?
Thank you so much, Cherry. Any other
Yeah.
question from our end? Children? Other children, if you have any question?
And the greenhouse.
I have a question,
One minute. Prameet, can we hold on, please? Let Varsha ask question this time. Varsha, yes, please.
yes,
Can you
sir.
give your... Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. My question is, what is the climate change impact?
Okay. Climate change impact on what exactly, Varsha?
Good morning, ma'am.
On us? Okay. I think she wants to know what is the meaning of impact. Like maybe a big vocabulary word, a new vocabulary for us.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
1 minute. Varsha has asked what is the meaning of climate change impact. So impact, if someone can explain in short, children from Malaysia, what do you understand the impact?
What is
Teacher, can I
impact?
explain?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So impact is basically similar to effects of climate change. Like I can give you some examples. Like it will loss of biodiversity because when the temperature changes, some animals cannot adapt, so they will extinct. This is one of the effects. I hope you
Thank you so much,
understand.
Varsha. Sadiq, you said you have some question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please ask. Please ask.
Why we have climate change
Okay. Why do we have climate change?
activity in our class?
Okay. Can someone answer, please?
Ma'am, Aisha is remaining to telling about the effect of climate changes.
No, we will hold now. Presentations are over now, my dear. These are question answers. Okay.
Yes,
I think Sadiq, we have already explained to you in our sessions that climate change is happening and we are doing some activities to control them. Okay. There is one question from my end. Through the presentations, I got to know that we have to reduce the plastic production and usage of plastic. So may I know how in Malaysia, what exactly you are doing to control this plastic usage?
Students, the ones
Yeah.
with solutions, the one who came up with solutions.
Yeah.
Chloe, Mika, Daniel.
Malaysia use recycled plastic like when they separate those plastic, they
Okay.
separate them and make them into new recycled plastic or shirts and stuff.
Okay.
They make plastic into other things so they can reuse it better than letting it compose like wait for hundreds of years.
Okay. That's brilliant. Okay, anyone from India, from my students, can you tell me instead of plastic, what do we do? Any other solution?
We can make
One
models
minute.
and things.
Sadiq is answering. Okay, Sadiq.
We can make many things with plastic bottles.
No, I'm not saying. I'm
Plastic.
saying how can we reduce the use of plastic? What solution we have?
By recycle.
Recycle it. Okay.
We should cloth bag.
Okay, Ayesha. Instead of using plastic bags, what do we use in India now?
Ma'am, we should use cloth bag.
Very good. Varsha, can you repeat?
We should use cloth bag.
Cotton bags. In India, we have started using cotton bags, like bags prepared from cotton material. So and paper bags. So we have started these two things in India.
Paper bag.
Yeah, Shanvi, thank you so much. I think over to you, Cherry. If your children have any questions for my children, I hope they are able to answer. But any simple question from your end regarding
Anyone has any question to these young kids? Don't bully them, yeah? They're very young.
no worries, they will answer. You can ask them about their
Any
bird feeders they have
questions?
prepared. They have prepared their posters, bird feeders. You can ask questions. No worries.
Any question? Big sisters, big brothers? No? No? I think your students have to leave for their exam, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Year-end
They have
exam.
that.
Yeah.
No worries. So shall we wind up?
Yeah, I think we should. I have to let them go for the next class as well.
Yeah, exactly. So Cherry, it was wonderful collaborating with your students, and I'm sure my children are also happy. It was, I think, 8 days of wait, and children were curious to prepare for 8 days. They were preparing, and of course, your children were also preparing. And this collaboration was really interesting. I too was curious to listen to what my children are going to present on this big platform. This is our first international collaboration. And it was a pleasure listening to your students who have really presented with the slides, given an overview of Malaysia. That was a takeaway for me. They have also spoken everything related to causes, effects, and solutions. So that was, a complete picture of climate change. So when it comes to solutions, I have grabbed a couple of ideas from your end. And in the next week, maybe we will be doing some sessions on solutions of for climate change.
Yes.
And thank you so much, children. It was too early for our kids. It was 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm happy you all were here in the session. And thank you so much, Malaysian students as well. Your presentation was well organized and well presented. And thank you so much, Cherry, for spending time and giving time for this lovely interaction. And I'll be happy if you can share the recording and the screenshots with me later, so that we
Sure.
can upload it on it.
The
Cherry,
first part was actually sort of deleted because I was disconnected for a while. That's why I asked you to let your children present again. But but we did manage to record half of your students' presentation.
So half are there, right? At least 3 to 4 presentations are there.
I think so. I think 2 or 3.
So do you want at least 1, 2 more to present now, like short?
It's okay. I think we don't have any more time. I have to release them for their next class already. Okay.
So
Can everyone please switch on your camera? I need to take your pictures. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone, please switch on your cameras.
Vansha, please.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. First page done. All right. Second page. Hold on. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Second page. All right. And then last one. Third. Okay. Nobody on their camera for the third page, huh? Why? Okay, all right. So thank you, Swapna. We can actually collaborate for our any future projects actually, since we all know each other. It's kind of easier when we have each other's
Definitely,
contact.
Sherry, looking forward.
Okay.
Looking forward for this presentation and
Okay.
yeah, future collaborations as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, children.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Miss Cherry.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Miss Cherry.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Miss Cherry.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome.
Thank
Hope you can visit Malaysia. All right. Please visit
Yes,
Malaysia.
definitely.
Come and find us.
You too. You too, please visit India. We'll
I've
have
been
that
to India actually. I've been to India. I've been to Bangalore, and Manipal and Madras. That time they call it Madras. Haven't changed name yet.
Yeah.
Long time ago,
Exactly.
1990s.
The southern and
My sister-in-law is from India.
you couldn't.
I told you, right? My sister-in-law is from India. I went there to visit her.
Exactly. So when you visit India, please visit our school as well. We'll be more than happy to welcome you in our school.
Sure. Mumbai, right? Yeah, my sister-in-law's
Mumbai.
sister is in Mumbai.
My mother's brother is there also.
Malaysia.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
Manipal.
Thank you, Sade.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Okay.